The story of Kanye West does not move forward in front of cameras or cheering crowds. It moves forward in small rooms, late nights, and quiet moments where sound becomes an obsession. After settling into life in Chicago, Kanye began to drift away from simply listening to music. He wanted to understand it. He wanted to break it apart and rebuild it. While other teenagers focused on what was popular, Kanye focused on how songs were made. He studied the drums, the samples, the way a single voice could sit on top of a beat and change how it felt. Music became a puzzle he couldn't stop trying to solve. His bedroom slowly turned into a workspace. Wires on the floor, old equipment on desks, notebooks filled with ideas, track names, and half-written lyrics. Kanye didn't just want to make beats. He wanted to create moods, moments, feelings that people could step into. He started experimenting with samples from old soul records, songs his mother used to play around the house, voices from another generation, layered over modern drums and rhythms. The result was something warm and emotional, but still sharp and new. It didn't sound like what was on the radio, and that was the point. Kanye began sharing his beats with anyone who would listen. Friends, local rappers, small studios across Chicago. Sometimes people were impressed, sometimes they weren't. But Kanye treated every reaction the same way, as information, as feedback, as fuel. He learned how to read a room, how to see when a beat connected and when it didn't. He adjusted, he refined, he kept going. Soon his name started traveling through the local scene. People would say, "There's this kid who makes different beats." Different was a risk, but it was also his advantage. Kanye's confidence grew, and with it, his ambition. Chicago no longer felt big enough. He wanted to be where the music industry really moved, where careers were built and broken. So he went to New York. The city was louder, faster, more competitive. Studios were full of producers chasing the same dream. Everyone had talent. Everyone had hunger. And very few had a real chance. Kanye walked into rooms where nobody knew his name. He carried stacks of CDs with his beats, handing them out to anyone who might listen. Some people brushed him off. Some promised to call and never did. Some didn't even take the disc. Rejection became part of his daily routine, but Kanye treated it like training. He learned how to talk about his work, how to pitch himself, how to walk into a room with confidence even when he felt invisible. Slowly, cracks began to form in the wall. A few artists started using his beats, then a few more. Then people began to recognize his sound. Warm samples, strong drums, emotion in the rhythm. It didn't take long for that sound to reach bigger ears. One of those ears belonged to a rising artist named Jay-Z. When Kanye's production landed on a major album, everything changed. Suddenly, Kanye West wasn't just a name in small studios. He was a producer behind songs the whole world could hear. The industry started paying attention. Doors that were once closed began to open just a little. But there was a new problem. The more successful Kanye became as a producer, the harder it became for people to see him as anything else. To them, he was the guy behind the scenes, the beat maker, the background presence. Kanye didn't accept that role. While he was building tracks for others, he was also writing his own lyrics, recording his own songs, shaping his own voice. He believed his story mattered as much as the artists he worked with. But when he told people he wanted to rap, the reactions were often the same. "You're great at beats. Stick to producing." Kanye heard those words again and again, and each time they pushed him further instead of stopping him. He began performing his own music wherever he could. Small shows, private sessions, industry meetings where he would play his songs instead of just his beats. Sometimes people listened, sometimes they laughed, but Kanye stayed in the room. he stayed in the conversation. Behind all of it was the same belief that started in his childhood, that he wasn't meant to fit into a single box, that he wasn't meant to be just one thing. As his production career grew, so did his frustration. He was helping other artists become stars while he waited for someone to believe in him the same way. That tension started shaping his music. His songs became more personal, more direct, more bold. He wasn't just talking about success. He was talking about wanting it and being denied it, about being confident and being doubted at the same time. The beat maker was becoming a storyteller, and the storyteller was getting ready to step forward. By the early 2000s, Kanye had built something powerful, a reputation, a sound people recognized, a presence people couldn't ignore. But he was still standing at a line that separated two worlds, behind the scenes and in the spotlight. The industry knew him as a producer. Kanye knew himself as an artist. And that difference was about to create the biggest challenge of his life. Because the next step wasn't about making better beats. It was about convincing the world to see him differently. In the next episode, Doors That Wouldn't Open, rejection, doubt, and the struggle to be taken seriously as a rapper, we follow Kanye as he faces the hardest part of his journey so far, fighting not for success, but for the right to be heard as the artist he believed he was meant to become. Hello is the storyline for Season 1 of Piso.